Well, g'day folks, it's Ando from Boss Outdoor with this week's fishing report. We're down off the Tura beach this morning having a quick fish before work, chasing a few Australian salmon. In my report last week I mentioned salmon and tailor are still prevalent on Tura beach. I've had a couple of guys come into the shop saying that's great, we've found some fish. We've had a couple of guys say, where are these salmon? There are no salmon on the beaches. Well, if you get out of bed early, guys, and use a pilchard on a ganged hook and get up here and fish these gutters like this one right behind me, you're going to find yourself some beautiful Australian salmon.
Oh yep, we're on here. There's just so many salmon down here on the beach at the moment. I bet ya, yeah, have a look at that. Takes the surf popper. Nearly every time, I don't know if it's just me or everyone does that, but the surf popper seems to catch more fish than the pilchard. So, bloody beauty.
So we're starting to get a few salmon now, Leaf. What have you caught, half a dozen? And
they're just mad, eh? Every cast.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a good option now that they've left the estuary.
Yeah, sure is. And it doesn't matter what you use, hey? You chuck a pilly. Although I've caught just as many on the surf popper.
That's right. Hey, so this one wants to go back home, so we might release him and we might run through the rigs a little bit later in the segment.
Let's get stuck into them.
So another great addition to the beach angler, guys, is a PVC rod tube that you can stick in the sand, put your rod up, keeps it up nice and high out of the surf zone, keeps your bait in the gutter where it's supposed to be. Now, the beach fishing is absolutely red hot. Brenton's joined us now and he's catching all sorts of fish on some little metal stick baits and some big minnows and so on, and he's just having a ball. But what I want to talk about is the estuary while we're down here beach fishing. The estuary's been pretty tough, guys, as I mentioned last week. I did a little drive by the whole channel the other day in my boat. The water's ultra clear and I didn't see a fish. I saw 2 leather jackets. I didn't even see a stingray, so it's pretty quiet. Still, the pick is pambula. There are some salmon in pambula, so that's great. But there's also a heap of other bread and butter species that are on the chew in pambula. Good brim, good whiting, still getting some flatties. And speaking of flatties, if you really want to get a feed of flatties, head up to Mogarika, guys, up in the Bega River. They're on the deeper rock walls, which is interesting, but look, it's working. There are a lot of guys throwing 3 to 4 inch soft plastics, T-tail shads, so something with a paddle tail. They're weighting them up a little bit and they're bombing them into the bottom, and I think that's what's getting the attention of the flathead. So hey, it's working, give it a shot. You might end up with a nice feed of duskies. So Brenton's just joined us down on the beach. Mate, you've got a lovely salmon. What did you catch that one on?
Got on a little Saltiga stick bait.
Oh, stick bait. I got mine on a pilchard, mate. Smell like a pilchard, live like a man.
Oh, you filthy beto.
Okay guys, the rig for beach fishing is quite simple. This is the way I like to rig it. There are many different ways you can do it, but you start by coming from your main line back to your rod, to a swivel, and then you run an independent swivel that just runs up and down your line to a star sinker. Now that's about a 20 centimetre drop, 25 centimetres, to a size 3 or size 4 star. When there's no current and flow, you can drop that back if you like, as long as you've got enough weight to cast that bait out. And then I've got about 60 centimetres of leader to my ganged hook, which I'm going to put my pilcher on. I'll show you that in a sec. But basically what happens is that sinker will land in the sand, get embedded, and then that bait swashes around in the suds, and then the predatory fish like tailor and salmon, brim and so on, jewfish, gummy sharks will come up and eat that bait. And what it's designed to do is, once that sinker's locked in the sand, that line can run freely, so that fish can run off with that bait for as long as he likes, and then hopefully load up and we hook him up. So the bait, basically what you're going to do is I'm just going to lay those hooks alongside that bait like that, and that's how it's going to sit. I want the bait to be nice and straight so it doesn't spiral in the flow. And that last hook, I'm going to hook it in there, twist that second hook in just there, and the third hook should come through the eye. Check all the hook points to make sure there are no scales on them, because that'll impede a hookup. That bait is nice and straight. It swims like that. When we move it around in the flow, it looks like a real fish. And hopefully those predatory fish will come up and munch that. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty confident we're going to get a few more. We've already got some this morning, so it's been great.
So I'm a bit of a lazy fisherman. I just grabbed this surf rig straight off the shelf this morning. So you just tie it straight, or hook it straight onto your snap swivel, down to a surf popper, down to a flasher rig, and then I just tied on a size 4-ounce star sinker. As easy as that. Don't have to get stinky. There's no pillies, there's no bait. Just chuck it out and this surf popper does the trick most of the time.
So this morning, we come down the beach. Leaf and Ando were down here fishing with baits. On the lower tides, they seem to be getting more with baits, but as the tides pushed into the gutters, filled up the gutters with more water, the lures started taking over. These little saltiga over there, casting stick baits, they're great. They seem to work really well.
Well, what a morning that's been. We got down here at 7 o'clock to catch a few salmon. We got a bucket full of fish. It's nearly 8:30, so we got to get to work before the shop opens. So what about a rock fishing report from you, Endo?
Yeah, I've got one for you. We'll see you on the rocks and we'll bring that report to you now. Well, finally, guys, the ocean's settled down enough for us to get back out on those rock platforms and chase those drummer. Throw a little bit of bread burley into the zone, cut some kunja straight off these platforms right here. You can get a bit of kunji or prawn if you want to use cooked prawn for bait. Suspend those baits under a float. You're looking for areas with a bit of kelp and a bit of wash, and you'll find those drummer. They fight hard, they're good eating. Strong hooks, small sinker, pretty simple fishing, guys. You may encounter some brim while you're doing this, obviously leather jackets and wrasse and so on, but another species that you may tangle with is a blue groper or a brown groper, blue being the male, brown being the female. There is a fishing ban on those fish at the moment, guys, so if you do hook one, try not to scar it up too much. Try and release it unharmed so it can get back out in the water, and you don't want to hurt them. Look, we get them as incidental bycatch ordinarily when we're rock fishing, and most of the time we just let them go. They're just a beautiful fish. But look, if you do get one, look after it. And these rock platforms just here where I'm standing on, I've caught some beautiful groper in the past, but I try not to target them. I just try and stick to the rock blackfish and brim, which there are plenty of. Check that out, guys. Massive school of salmon working straight off Main Beach, Marimbula. We got them off Tura this morning, but they're here as well, so that's just fantastic if you want to catch salmon off the beach, guys. Well, guys, I guess you're wondering how I went with those kingfish. I took 2 days off to hit those kings around the new moon in August, and double donuts, zeros. Got nothing except a couple of nicknames. Krispy Kreme, Duncan, you get the picture. Look, the water was a little bit cloudy, that's my excuse. I did sound up a bit of bait, but the bait was low, out off the hunter. So I think when that bait pulls up, the kings might get into it. Look, I'm not sure what happened, but this is the first year I haven't encountered them. So look, maybe they might come on later in the week or later in the year, who knows. But look, the guys that have been fishing for Mowong and Snap have been doing really well, getting some really good catches out of Eden in that 40 to 50 metre zone, and some guys going out wider. So look, I think this time of year, if you're going offshore, chase those flatties out in 60 metres straight out here in the bay, or go down off Eden. That's probably your best bet, I reckon, to get a fish if you're fishing offshore. If you're going out in the blue yonder, I'll let Leaf run you through that. He's got the goods on what that water's doing out there, so we'll go to Leaf now.
Yeah, mate, the charts don't look that good for tuna fishing at the moment in our local area. I think if you really want to catch a tuna, I'd be heading up to JB Sydney area. Like, that Sydney area is having the best bite that they've had on tuna for a long time. So I know it's a long way, but probably worth the drive if you really want a tuna. Back to our local area, if you want to head out wide, the deep dropping is spectacular at the moment. There's heaps of blue eye and ling out there with next to no current, like 0.2, 0.3 of a knot of current out there. So definitely worth it to go out there and chase those fish. Anyway, that's about it for me from out in the deep. I think if you want to go and catch a trout, mate, what do you got for us there?
Yeah, thanks, Leaf. The trout fishing's been really good at the moment. Azza from Boss Outdoor recently went to Yukonbean and got some beautiful brown trout. He was working a double clutch on around the rocky points, and yeah, got some nice fish. Another guy who's been getting some nice fish is a good mate of mine, Harry Haynes. He's been working the banks of Middling Bank around Buckandera and working soft plastics and getting some cracking brown trout. Well done, Harry. Like, great fish, mate. But he's also been picking up some rainbows in the boat whilst fly fishing. So yeah, a nice bag of trout for Harry. Well done. If you're looking to get into that sort of action, you can basically drive up to Lake Eucumbene, and there are many spots you can get to. Middling Bank's one, all public access. Seven Gates is another. Frying Pan. Otherwise, you can just book into one of the holiday parks and fish the shores there. And hey, why don't you stay the night and capitalise on the afternoon bite and morning bite? I'm sure you'll love it. Rug up, great time of year to be trout fishing, guys. Well, that wraps up the fishing report, guys. So let's head back to Boss Outdoor for this week's fishing report deal. So to get you guys out on the beach fishing for those amazing Australian salmon this weekend, we're offering our pre-spooled Rampage surf combos. Ordinarily $59.99. We're going to let those go for $40 for you guys this week. And if you buy one, we're going to throw in 2 of Leaf's U-Butte surf popper rigs for free. Get on it. Okay guys, I know you've been waiting for that amazing bluefin tuna video to drop. Well, it's Friday afternoon. Keep an eye out for that one. Oh, and if there's anything else you need to know, whether it be about bait, hooks, or where Aaron's been catching those beautiful brown trout around Rushy's Bay, come into the store so we can hook you up. Oh, and if you're enjoying our videos, guys, be sure to like and subscribe.